Pollock, sports editor at the Daily Wildcat. I'm joined by Ryan Wohl, assistant sports editor at the Daily Wildcat. We're here post-game, right after the University of Arizona lost to San Diego State Aztecs, 38-14. Ryan, what are your main takeaways from that game?
It was just a one-sided game from the start to the end. You know, it was all Aztecs football, and the Wildcat just couldn't get anything going from the start of the game. Especially, they couldn't run the ball at all. I believe both running backs, Wiley, he only had 5 carries to lead the team, and he just couldn't get anything going. And with the Gunner Cruz too, he only threw for 70 yards. He got pulled in the third quarter, which the game was over. The game was over at halftime, pretty much. So yeah, it's just neither side played well.
Yeah, very true. From the start of the get-go, first possession, San Diego State had, I think the third play of their possession, they had a 73-yard reception to their tight end. Just a little, it was like a screen play. Had a huge play. They went down, scored 2 plays later. U of A got the ball. Very next possession, they blocked our punt. Touchdown. We're down 14-0. And our offense went on the field for the second time.
Yeah, I blinked my eyes and we're down like 14-0.
Yeah, and so, yeah, like you said, every phase of the game, too, I think that was the thing that really surprised me, is especially, like, this morning we were saying we were bigger, we're better, we got better athletes, and it just, like, felt every phase of the game, offense, defense, special teams, they were just very handy.
Yeah, and the thing that stuck out to me the most for it was the defense. You know, we praised the defense over the last week. They played well last week. They only gave up 24 points, you know, at the neutral site game against BYU and Vegas. And I thought they brought that toughness. The energy, you know, seemed a little bit down. It was lacking on both sides of the ball. And I really think that needs to change. I mean, you know, Fitch said the spirits are high in the locker room, but, you know, it needs to translate to the field.
Yeah, it really does. I think one big thing out of the post-game press conference with Fish that I was just really kind of shocked to hear was he just like didn't even know anything about the quarterback room. What did you think about the way the quarterbacks played today and looking forward with our quarterback room?
I totally agree with you. I asked Jeff Fish, I said, do you guys think about switching the quarterbacks in the first, the second, quarter? Because the way he sounded 2 weeks ago about this co-QB, situation is that, it was going to be basically drive by drive, and that's not how it's been. It's been 80%, 90% even, Gunner Cruz to Will Plummer. Will Plummer did look really good the last quarter and a half, so it was surprising that he didn't come out and say, we're going to go with Will next week, because that's what he said last week, and about Cruz. I really want in the next week to 2 weeks, Jed Fish to come out and pick a quarterback. You can't keep flip-flopping. I think that plays a big role because I don't think the team and the offense has one specific leader. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I thought it was just really telling that Gunner Cruz played almost 3 full quarters, 70 passing yards, and Will played a quarter and maybe a minute or two the third, and he had 109 passing yards, I believe. And I know one thing I was kind of curious about is it almost seemed like Gunner had a lid to where I don't think he even attempted really a deep ball, and I think we saw 2 to 3 like deep ball attempts from Will Plummer. One of them he got with Keegan Cunningham, one of the biggest plays probably the whole game for the Arizona offense.
Yeah, that's what I was saying after last week's game. He only attempted 2 deep balls. One obviously the pick that Gunner Cruz threw late in last week's games. Just basically throwing like just so many plays trying to get something going late in the game. But that's his thing. He seems nervous, scared, he's not sure of himself. I mean, he is an inexperienced quarterback, but I mean, Will Plummer is he has just as much experience as Gunner Cruz, and he looks pretty good out there.
Yeah. I would say one thing that I'm just like, the word I would put on for Gunner Cruz is hesitancy. That was the biggest thing I saw today. Because last week, I know you really thought they should have thrown the ball out a lot more. I thought he had good poise and he checked the ball down a lot. Tonight, he did not check the ball down a lot. He seemed very hesitant and he held on to the ball a lot, which accounted for all the sacks that we got, especially without being hurt our offensive line.
Yeah, I think that played into the fact that they were down so much early, and that's to me why they couldn't establish the run game. It's not because they weren't efficient. Because they weren't efficient. That's just a fact. but it's because they didn't have that many attempts because they were down by 2 scores before we even knew it.
Another big thing that Fish talked about in the post game was how much they let down all the 39,000 fans that were in attendance tonight. Do you think there's a chance that he gets that number again next week for the home game against NAU?
I don't believe so. I think the most they get next week is maybe 34,000, I would guess.
34,000.
Just off the top of my head, I mean, this was a bigger game, home opener, big deal, and this is what they've been building towards the last 6 months as Jed Fish's team on the campus. If they continue to lose, this is 14 straight, as we know. Not Jed Fish, but the program in a whole. It's just people are losing interest rapidly every single game.
Very true. I know. We were talking a little bit post game, towards the end of the game, and this team possibly could lose to NAU. Do you think that's a possibility?
I think if this team loses to NAU next week, it's basically like at the end of the Kevin Sumlin era what happened to me, the way I would view it. I mean, I'm not saying Jed Fish needs time, and a few months ago when they hired Jed Fish, I expected 1 to 2 wins this season, nothing major, but last week they did look good. I think last week was, a myths kind of tease on us that they looked good, and maybe they could have, rolled over San Diego State. NAU is a weaker opponent, but they're still going to have to bring their A game. I mean, because looking at how they played here tonight, there was literally no positives. If I had to rate this game, I would give it probably, an F. Not probably, it's an F.
Yeah. From the offense, defense, and special teams, F. I would agree with that. F all the way around the board.
Yeah.
And I really hope they don't lose to NAU. That would be just a gut wrencher to everything that Fish has said to this team, to the program, to the city of Tucson. He's gotten this whole city tried to get them fired up for this football team, and tonight did not look good for that resume.
And don't forget, after NAU, they go on the road to Oregon, one of the hottest teams in college football. As we know, they beat number 4 Ohio State at the shoe today. Which was incredible.
Yeah, it's going to go down a little bit, and then the road for wins is just going to get so much harder for this team.
And if they can't beat NAU next weekend, to start the year 0-3, like I said, I've thought about that and thought that could happen, but it's going to be tough to see how Jed Fish acts after these losses, week in and week out. He said that the locker room, the spirits are still high, but to be honest, I don't know how anyone's spirits can be high after this game.
I don't either. Again, Jordan Pollock, sports editor of the Day of the Wildcat. Ryan Wohl, assistant sports editor of the Day of the Wildcat. Here, Arizona Stadium. Final score: SDSU 38, U of A 14. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys next time.